Well, howdy there, folks, and welcome back to the Poorly Educated podcast, where the microphones still work even if the federal government don't. It's October 25th, 2025, day 25 of what historians will one day call the longest coffee break in Washington. President Trump's out gallivanting across Asia playing Monopoly with world leaders, while back home, TSA agents are working for free and park rangers are feeding themselves to bears just to keep them entertained. It's like watching a guy brag about buying a Lamborghini while his electric's been cut off for non-payment. So buckle up. Today we're talking about trade wars, tariffs, drug wars in the Caribbean, and the shutdown that's turning America into one big do-it-yourself country. Let's dive in. Segment 1. The Asian Gambit. Trump takes his tariffs on tour. So the president's on a grand Asia tour to Malaysia, Japan, and South Korea. The kind of trip that sounds like a world tour poster, but plays like a yard sale. He's meeting with world leaders to cut fantastic deals, which usually means he offers to blow up your economy unless you buy more American stuff. Kinda like a timeshare presentation with missiles. He's threatening China with a 100% tariff come November 1st, which is basically him saying, buy one, get none free. The total tariff stack's so high, even Jeff Bezos needs oxygen to look over it. Meanwhile, our soybean farmers are hurting so bad, they're trying to sell to Canada as vegan maple snacks. It's a trade war where nobody's sure who's losing more, China's factories or Walmart shoppers. Trump's demanded $900 billion in investments from Japan and South Korea, basically charging admission to stay America's friend. It's like saying, hey buddy, want to keep that defense treaty? That'll be 2 trillion yen and a box of Pocky. Even Japan's new prime minister, Sanae Takaichi, probably looked at that bill and thought, dang, we should have gone with Biden. Now Seoul ain't too happy either. They say the US wants their foreign reserves up front, and they're like, buddy, we need those to buy gas and K-pop light sticks. It's a tough spot when you're choosing between Trump's tariffs and your own financial meltdown. Meanwhile, the president's calling it the best deal ever made in Asia. I bet he said the same thing about the buffet at the Busan Hilton. Segment 2. The Caribbean Campaign. Guns, rum, and regime change. Y'all ever wake up and think, man, I wish the war on drugs came with a navy? Well, good news. We done sent an armada to the Caribbean. That's right. The USS Gerald R. Ford's down there, launching missiles at boats smaller than my Uncle Randy's base tracker. 43 people dead, and not a single shipment of Coke Zero was stopped. They say they're targeting narco-terrorists, but I think we might just be attacking whoever has a boat and a bad Wi-Fi signal. Now Colombia's mad as a hornet. President Gustavo Petro called it murder and said America's treating his country like a shooting range. Trump called him a drug dealer in a suit, which is richer than a meth kingpin with a 401k. This whole thing's looking less like a drug war and more like a travel ban with explosions. Folks down there say this ain't about cocaine at all. It's about Venezuela's oil. And yeah, when the CIA shows up anywhere south of Texas, you know it's either for regime change or new coffee beans. They reclassified the cartels as military enemies so they can use bombs instead of court orders. Now that's what I call cutting red tape. At this rate, the DEA gonna need aircraft carriers and a theme song by Kenny Loggins. Segment 3. The Shutdown State. America's new business model closed. 25 days in, and the government is still more shut down than my ex's Facebook after tax season. 900,000 federal workers furloughed, 2 million working without pay, which is what the White House calls patriotism, and everybody else calls robbery. Even the FAA is run by skeleton crews. And I don't mean Halloween decorations. I mean actual folks who ain't slept in 3 days. The CBO says the shutdown is costing the economy 0.2% of GDP per week. That don't sound like much till you realize it's more money than my entire town spends on beer and fireworks combined. Head Start's out of money, the WIC program's on life support, and the Small Business Administration can't cut loans. It's like watching a country try to reboot itself without a hard drive. Trump's OMB director Russ Vought called this shutdown an opportunity to drain the swamp. That's DC speak for fire 10,000 people and see what happens. One judge put a pause on that, thank God, or we'd have more unemployed bureaucrats than mosquitoes in Mississippi. Still, the president's out there telling Japan and South Korea to invest billions in America, while our own IRS ain't even open to cash the check. That's like a bar asking you to buy drinks while the bartender's locked in the bathroom. Segment 4. Turning the screws on the Kremlin. After 3 years of bromance diplomacy, Trump finally hit Russia with sanctions so tough they make Siberia look warm. Rosneft and Lukoil just got cut off from the US dollar system, and if foreign banks help them out, they're getting kicked off too. That's like telling half the world, touch Russia and you sleep on the couch. Oil prices jumped 5% overnight. Great news if you're an oil exec. Bad news if you own literally anything that moves or lights up. Putin's saying Russia won't bow to pressure, which is funny because their economy's already bent like a paperclip. Meanwhile, Trump's calling it tremendous, because everything he does is tremendous. If the sun exploded tomorrow, he'd say, "Tremendous sunset, folks." Experts say the sanctions might work if the U.S. actually enforces them, which depends on whether the Treasury Department gets back from its furlough first. Segment 5. Harris hints at a comeback. Well, look who's back in the ring. Former Vice President Kamala Harris done told the BBC, "I ain't done yet." Now that's some confidence from a woman who lost so hard in 2024 that even her campaign bus refused to start. The Trump White House fired back saying she ought to take the hint, which is hilarious coming from a man who ran for president after being impeached twice. Polls say she's trailing behind The Rock. Not figuratively, I mean Dwayne Johnson himself. Imagine that campaign, Harris talking policy while The Rock body slams the deficit. Honestly, that's the only way C-SPAN gets ratings again. But in true American fashion, we're already talking about 2028, while 2025 ain't even finished ruining itself. Segment 6. The Battle for New York. When mayors go national. Down in New York City, the mayoral race has gone full soap opera. You got Democratic Socialist Zohran Mamdani leading over Andrew Cuomo and Curtis Sliwa, and Trump's already threatened to cut federal funds if Mamdani wins. That's like your landlord saying, "Vote for me or I'll shut off your water." The city's split like a Subway sandwich at rush hour. Half want change, half just want the trains to run on time and the pigeons to stop judging them. The race got ugly fast. Racism, Islamophobia, and so many attack ads you'd think they were selling bleach for democracy. It ain't about potholes or garbage pickup anymore. It's who can yell freedom louder on TikTok. Cuomo's trying to come back so desperate he might start giving out coupons for forgiveness. And Sliwa? He's campaigning with cats again. At this point, the real winner of this race is gonna be the rat population. Segment 7. Conclusion. A nation of contradictions. So there you have it, folks. A president negotiating tariffs in Asia while his own country can't negotiate a budget. A military hunting drug boats in the Caribbean while federal workers hunt loose change in their couch cushions. It's the story of a nation that wants to run the world but can't run its own Wi-Fi. We're trying to look tough abroad while looking broke at home. It's like spray painting abs on a beer belly. Maybe that's just who we are now. A country of contradictions, equal parts ambition and dysfunction. We talk about strength but argue over lunch money. We send carriers to fight narcos but can't pay air traffic controllers. We want global respect but can't agree on how to keep the lights on. America ain't fallen apart. It's just taken a long nap with the door unlocked. So till next time, this has been the Poorly Educated Podcast, where we read the news so you don't gotta. Remember, if the government stays closed much longer, we might just start our own. But only if the paperwork ain't too hard. Y'all take care, pay your light bill if you can, and keep an eye out for them tariffs.